All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn workshop. I'm going to uh, work on getting my screens ready here so that I can share today's information for you. If you guys are just now joining me for the first time, I'm Richard Cuff. I'm president of CTI Marketing, founder of Nasimba Business Alliance, and master greatness coach here at GetReadyForGreatness.com. And throughout the next 21 days and probably far beyond that, I'm going to continue with my lunch and learn workshops. And as the nation and the world begins to return more to normal or to the new normal, I believe the new normal is going to be a world of entrepreneurs doing what we have been accustomed to seeing the larger multi-million dollar corporate and billion dollar corporations do. So this Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn workshop is designed to reach the person who may have never thought about starting a business. Never in your wildest dreams did you ever think you would be an entrepreneur. And then the COVID-19 shutdown came along. And guys, let me do something here. My camera is kind of twisted, and I want to get that um, as I'm getting accustomed to the technology being around me. As I shared yesterday in the session, um, I've been 35 years in broadcasting. I'm behind the microphone, and I'm this is where I'm normal and natural. This is I feel at home, and maybe this is part of the reason why I have this here. In fact, I need to make certain that I turn on my the recording so that I can get a really good voice recording. And but I'm more with broadcasting and podcasting, if you will, so that this is my normal space. But the camera is a new twist for me. I don't spend a lot of time in the camera in front of a camera. When I am in front of an audience, it's a live audience because I've been doing stand up comedy for 35 years. So it's a new transition for me, and as I'm trying to figure out this new place here where I'm in front of a camera and using my voice. I have to figure out a new way to do it. I'm at 60 years old. I've got to remake myself, and it's uncomfortable. So you guys are watching the me evolve the same way I'm coaching you on how to evolve. I'm evolving myself. So we're all in this together. If you haven't had a chance yet, please get over to the Get Ready for Greatness Facebook page, like the page, sign up for the alerts. Also, look for me on Facebook at Richard Cuff, and on Twitter at Richard Cuff, and Instagram I'm at Cuff the Comedian. So all of those will connect you back at some place. It'll bring you back to the Get Ready for Greatness platform. So all roads, if you will, lead to Get Ready for Greatness or lead to greatness. So without let's not delay this anymore. Let's get jump right into this thing because uh, as I've promised, I'm going to always be here for lunch at 12 o'clock, and then I'm going to post this over after the lunch. After we finish this, I'm going to post this video over onto Get Ready for Greatness on the Facebook page, so you'll be able to see the recorded uh, broadcast, and of course, it'll be here on the YouTube page as well. So do go to getreadyforgreatness.com, create your free coaching profile. Um, Follow me on Facebook at Richard Cuff, and catch. Be sure to catch my morning commute. That's where I'm having fun in the morning. But I love to talk, and I can be rather unscripted and more. I feel more natural when I'm doing my morning commute. So we have a great conversation in the morning, and the numbers are doubling every day. Now, I believe in my spirit that by the end of the 21-day period, we're going to have 1,048,576 people uh, because of the rule of 21. And what that means is if
If I uh, go for 21 days and inspire someone every day, beginning with myself, on the first day, I always have to be, you can do this yourself. If on the first day you are the one that inspires yourself and to commit for 21 days, the next day you will go and inspire someone else to do the exact same thing. And then you will do that for another 20 days. So a total of 21 days, 20 days of encouraging others and 1 day for yourself. What you will find is that the numbers will have doubled if those people are inspired to do the exact, and it's important, the exact same thing. So what that means is it becomes viral. One person tells one person, and he keeps sharing it for 21 times. So that's how something goes viral. Is it's not because one person shares it, it's because one person shares it for at least 20 times, who they share it for at least, then each time around, each level can share it less. But the numbers will double, and one becomes two, two becomes four, four becomes eight, eight becomes 16. In 10 cycles, it's 512. Well, and on the 11th day, it's 1,028. And then on day 21, you're up to 1,048,576. So let's see if we can do that. Let's see if you can commit to watching this broadcast, this Lunch and Learn, subscribing, and then tomorrow commit to come back with a friend. And every day you commit to come back with a new friend who commits to come back with a friend. And you guys watch what the numbers will do. You'll see it right there on the screen at the number of subscribers will increase. Now, I'm showing you that this could happen in 21 days with people. But imagine if we were doing that with dollar bills. It would be the same thing. I start off with $1, and every day I come back, I put $1 into the pot, if you will. At the end of 21 days, there will be $1,048,000 there. So can you imagine having a process that every 21 days you put in $1, and every 21 days over $1 million comes out? What kind of a community can you build? And that's what we're building here. We're building a community, and we're going to talk about how that's going to show up. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen here, and we are going to be doing the Lunch and Learn workshops. So I want to make certain that I've got my video up, and we're sharing. Yep. So this is the Lunch and Learn workshop. And in the Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn workshop, we're going to be talking about how we can um, um, bring to the bring to you every day the basic information that you need. And I know what I need to do here is I'm not. Let me share my screen with you. So I'll share this one, and there we go. Now I'm sharing my screen, so you can actually see, and um, you have that in there. All right, so this is the Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn workshop. And yesterday, I went over this information, but I'm going to go over the same information every day. But we're just going to um, it's designed for reinforcement, and you'll understand it when we get over to the working on the PS factor side of it. But right now, on the nuts and bolts side of the business, we just want to do this every day. So let's get ready. The Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn workshop. Um, Yesterday, I shared this quote. I want to just re-emphasize it. This is American writer Marianne Williamson. She said, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that others other people will not feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Now, you know what? I got to go back to that because this is something that's powerful right there. That last line where she says, as we liberate as we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. Does that word liberate sound familiar? If I read it as we are conserved from our own fear, our presence automatically conserves us from others. See, there is a conservative view and then there's a liberal view. And what we've been indoctrinated to hear is that when we hear the word conserve or conservative, we automatically think it's conserving something. It's keeping America great or conserving our freedom, or it's keeping something the same. No, it's not. You're not conserving anything. In fact, you can go back and look and see whenever those who were in leadership that claimed to have a conservative agenda, they really weren't conserving money. They spent more money than ever when they were in control. Things happen. There are those who say, well, then the liberals, because you've been indoctrinated to believe that liberal is a political ideology. No, it's about being liberated. That's what, when you hear the word liberated or liberal, you should think liberated. Are you liberated? Are you set free? Are you set free? So the word liberal, when people say liberal, think of it the way that they used to say the word Christian. The word Christian is not, Christians didn't call themselves Christians back in the day. They were followers of Christ. Christian was the derogatory term, the name that they were given. You know, somebody puts a derogatory adjective in front of your name to describe you. You know, little Joe Biden, crooked Hillary, those kinds of things. You used to do that as a kid. You know, you did it. Everybody, you recognize it. If you didn't do it, somebody did it to you. But it's about putting labels on. This is not about labels. This is about mindset. And is your mindset in a conserve mode, or is your mindset in a liberated mode? Because when your mindset goes toward conserving, it's going in towards self-preservation. When your mind is going to, and self-preservation means I must preserve the physical part of me. I don't care about the spiritual part of me right now, because at this very moment, the physical part of me must be conserved. But on the opposite side, the liberal part of me, the spiritual part, says, well, I'm going to be set free. And that's where you hear these verses in the Bible, you know, whom the Son sets free is free indeed. This is the liberal part. So when someone says you are liberal and you are Christian and you reject that because you feel like, no, Christians are conservative, you're getting caught up in the wrong information. You're not looking at it the right way. You're either going to be conservative, caught up and bound up in fear, or you're and trying to get toilet paper, conserve toilet paper, and conserve face masks, and conserve ventilators, and you that's conservative. But conservative is rooted in fear. Liberal or liberated is rooted in freedom. Are you free to move? No, nobody's free to move. There's this right now, you're being told you can't move, but that's to get you to think more that liberal means anything but freedom. But that, my friend, is if you're conservative, you are conserving. You're tied up in fear. If you're liberal, you are set free. And as Marianne Williamson says in this last line here, as we are liberated, as we become liberals, liberated from our own fear. See, that's what it's about. Being liberated from our own fear. As we become liberals, liberated from our own fear, just being present, having a conscious mindset liberates others. Yeah, isn't that cool? That's what this is about. So let's continue on it. Give you this will also give you a little background. Originally, I started North American Small and Emerging Market Business Association, and that's where I got the acronym NASIMBA, North Americans from North American Small and Emerging Market Business Association. I created NASIMBA Business Alliance, and you know what? I want to share this with you real quick, and then I'll finish up. But back when Meetup first got started, they really just had you could go in and create your own category and you could meet up around that. And they Meetup began to realize that there were certain businesses that could go under different groups. And so they started bringing the business groups together rather than having, 300 scattered different categories. They broke it down to maybe 10 or so. Do you know what's really cool is when you go to Meetup, they kept the category of NASIMBA, NASEMBA. Go to Meetup, type in NASIMBA, and you will see that it has its own category because now there are NASIMBA people all over the world. And so as soon as this coronavirus shutdown is over, I'm going to begin to really light up Meetup so that we can start having NASIMBA meetups. And there'll be smaller meetups, not big groups, but small restaurants. No longer big is out. You guys, thanks coronavirus, it has killed big, anything big corporation, big restaurants, big arenas. All of those are dead. You don't believe big arenas can die out? Go to Greece and look at the what's the name of the arena, but the Parthenon or something. I did horrible in Greek, my Greek history kind of class, guys. But anyway, look at the Greek arenas. They're skeletons. They're still sitting there from thousands of years ago. Nobody goes there anymore. Yeah. Can you imagine football stadiums all around this country sitting empty because crowds don't go to the football stadiums anymore because the NFL is no longer in? Yeah. Because entrepreneurs, small businesses, little gatherings are going to be where all the money is. And so now that you're thinking, maybe I need to start my business, this right here is for you. So who is this workshop not for? And by the way, these are how the logos look. Who is this not for? This is not for those who want to get rich quick, those who want to find a way to pay off bills and try to avoid eviction and you're in desperation. This is not that. If you haven't prepared for this moment, then you're not ready for this moment. So what you need to do is get ready for the next moment. That's maybe, and the best I can tell you using my system is I can prepare you for something 6 months from now, but I can't give you anything in 30 days to change your situation if you haven't already been feeding on these thoughts. You know that when you were working that full-time job, in the back of your mind, every time you were driving to work, you had some little inkling that said, you know what? I feel like I need to quit this job and start my own business. God has given me this ability to sew. He's given me this ability to bake cakes. He's given me this ability to cook. He's given me this ability to plant gardens. I know what I love to do, but I'm not doing what I love to do. I'm just doing what I'm good at. And the job fired you. What you were good at, you've now been fired. So what you have to do is find something else that now you're good at. And maybe you can become good at being an entrepreneur. So CTI Marketing, well, let me go back a little bit so I can explain this. These three companies, CTI Marketing, Concentel Mobile, and NASIMBA Business Alliance. And by the way, I just am thankful to God for the ability for me to be able to put that registered trademark there for Concentel Mobile, we now own the trademark Concentel Mobile Cultural Capital Marketplace. And that's another thing that I'll be bringing forward in the next couple days. I'll share more with you about how the marketplace works, but maybe this first, I'll probably give 1 week to focus on each one of the businesses. So meaning CTI Marketing does the marketing, Concentel Mobile is customer service, and the Simba Business Alliance is accounting, or the network of professionals. All right, so we've got those three, but let's focus right now on the marketing part. And tomorrow, what I'm going to do is what I call my 5-minute marketing degree. And it'll help you understand this particular section a little bit more. We talked about it briefly yesterday, but I want to share with you, and you can watch yesterday's and see how I went into it specifically. But the bottom line is this: is when you are the seller, you can determine the price. The customer is the buyer. There can never be a transaction in a marketplace without there being a seller and a buyer. So you need both. But the seller sets the price, the buyer sets the value. If the buyer doesn't see the value in your price or in your product, they're not going to pay the price. So it's not until the two come together that you can get a transaction. So there can be no transaction until price and value come to equal terms. So Napoleon Hill said this, and this: knowledge has no value except that which can be gained through its application towards some worthy end. And I'll be sharing with you in later on within the 21 days. I'm going to share with you about how to set goals and toward worthy goals. But right now, the understanding is that it's knowledge that you need. And so we're going to continue with that. And for the rest of this week, we're going to be talking about the traditional business model, choosing a business structure that fits, and record keeping for startups. So let's just touch on this a little bit more and go into a little bit more detail, the types of business entities. And when I say entities, I'm talking about the different kinds of structures, not talking industries or technologies or class, the kinds of businesses that, excuse me, the kind of businesses that you can get in. I'm talking about the structure of your business as it relates to your starting the business. And let me get something to drink here, guys. As it talks about where you're going to start a business. And the key is, like, when do you need to have a corporate structure or any kind of a structure? The key is that you need a business from a legal standpoint. The moment you plan on making $1, the moment you plan on making $1 and doing it continuously. Now, if you got a garage of junk and or memories, I'll say, because for me it's junk. But some may have memories. I got to get my garage cleaned out. I'm going to use this time to do that. But if you've got a garage full of memories and you say, well, I want to sell those, you go and have a garage sale and you put your stuff out front and you sell it. Well, the federal government is not going to coming down on you and say, look, you owe us taxes on that stuff that you sold, primarily because they got the taxes when you bought it the first time. So it's already been taxed technically. So you are not making, you certainly are not going to make more money on it, because chances are you're not going to buy it for $500 and sell it 10 years later for $550. That's a $50 profit. And so that's a very basic concept, that when I can make more money than I paid for it, that's in a business terms, depending on how you're looking at it, it's either called profit or it's called equity in a housing, in a sense of a house. If I paid $100,000 for the house and 10 years later it's worth $180,000, well, I paid $100,000 for it, but now it's worth 180. That's $80,000 equity that's in it, so I can do something with it. Now, federal government then begins to treat how you want to move that equity around as to whether or not it's going to be taxable. So if I took the $80,000 of equity out of my house and just put it in my pocket, it's now income. Well, the federal government says, well, let me say this: if you took it out of your house in the form of a loan, loans are not taxable because you're going to pay that loan back. Now you're going to pay it back with interest. And from an accounting standpoint, here's the reason why you're able to write off the interest. The interest is like the reverse of making money. You lose money. So that's why you're able to write off the interest. They change the laws around so that you can write off something that you lost. You write off your losses and you report your gains. That's a very basic concept in business. So when you can understand the difference between a liability and an asset, a liability usually causes a loss, and an asset usually causes a gain. So when I'm doing your books and it comes time for me to do accounting, I have to put your activities in one of two categories. It either falls in the category of a liability or it falls in the category of an asset. It falls in the category of a cost or it falls in the category of profit, revenue. You're losing or you're gaining. And as we go all the way down the line, it's called a balance sheet. You should get to the bottom and you should be at zero. And if you're not at zero, then there's a loss that you've taken that you haven't accounted for. So as an accountant, I got to put it in there so that it, instead of it being negative $15, I got to, oh, well, somewhere there's $15 somewhere. Where is it? Oh, the bank charged a $15 fee. I put the $15 in there and it comes up and it's back to zero. It's no longer negative. So that's basically accounting. And so when you're choosing your business entity, you're going to choose the business entity based on what type of accounting you're going to need to do. What kind of liabilities are you going to take on? Liabilities, you're going to hear that word a lot. What kind of liabilities are you going to have? Liabilities as it means expenses, but also liabilities as it means potential loss. So a liability can be a potential loss as well. So when I have a liability insurance, liability insurance is for when I could lose something, like a customer comes and slips on the floor and breaks their back. Well, I'm liable for that. I'm going to take the hit, take the loss, but the insurance is going to come in and put it back. So my balance sheet remains at zero. Or worst case scenario, I could file bankruptcy and walk away. Well, that's why I want to create an entity so that when I do file bankruptcy, when somebody does sue me or whatever, I'm not going to take the hit by myself. I'm not going to lose my house and my car and everything. So there's a way that I can sort of spread out the liability, the risk. I can bring on partners. But now the partners position themselves where they are all in the same boat. Or let's say I could say, well, I'm not going to make any profit at all. I could be a nonprofit corporation, a separate entity that's separate from me, and therefore if somebody slips and falls, you can sue the corporation. Me, I'm just an employee, but also I'm free from taxes. So I've got to, not only do I have the protection from liabilities, but I also have the protection from taxes. That's what a nonprofit organization gives you. Although technically you should be about having a nonprofit organization because you're trying to do good in the community. But y'all know you ain't starting a lot of people are starting that nonprofit organization just so that they can avoid taxes. What an S corp does is S corp. I like an S corp. I'm an S corp. It's really smooth. It gives me the ability to act as a corporation, but at the same time be treated like an individual. So I'm not double taxed. So it's called a pass through. So that means the money comes into the business, you report it, but the government allows it to show up over on your personal taxes so that your corporation doesn't pay taxes and then you don't pay taxes. Now, eventually, when you start getting into a corporation that has shares of stock and all those other things, that is no longer feasible. But as far as for your, probably if you're a small business and starting out, you're going to go the route of S corp, and as a limited liability company. So the limited liability company, most people say LLC, limited liability corporation. It's not a corporation. It's an entity that's formed that has an ability to limit the liability as a corporation, but it doesn't have shares of stock. It's got membership shares. You can have members, you can have single member LLC, that's an S corp. So it acts like a corporation, but it passes through. But the liability is still over on the company and not you, the individual. And then limited liability from a partnership, meaning that the liability is limited and spread out across the partners. So, and what I'll do is this in my other coachings and other workshops, we can go more into this. And when we start talking to uh, you go through a session for you specifically, we can get you with the CPA who can talk to you even more. The next thing, and I mentioned yesterday, you want to have a CPA, you want to have an attorney, and you want to have a financial advisor. Now, you may not need to have them on call, but I mean, where you retain them, but you should have access to people who can come and give you the kind of information that you need while you're thinking about starting your business. Guys, I can't tell you right now, I'm working long hours. I think I was Sunday to Monday, I was in my office till 3 in the morning. And then I was in the office till 8 last night. And I'll be doing late nights for the rest of this process, this season, tax season and beyond, because everybody's got these needs now. The businesses are applying to get these federal funds, and every one of these applications says we need to see your balance sheet, we need to see your income statement, we need to see your last 3 years financial records. And guess what? Guess who they're calling? They're calling the accounting office, and my phone is ringing off the hook. So that's the way it goes. But how cool would it have been if they had already formed that relationship and that information was given to them on a weekly and a monthly basis already? When you already have it in place and already have these people there, you're going to be able to be all right. So let me grab a drink here. So when you're looking at the legal entity, and this is where it comes in with the attorney, a good tax attorney, you want to consider these things: the legal liabilities, your tax implications, the cost of formation and ongoing administration, which means like you form a corporation and then every year you got to pay maybe $150 or so to keep it in compliance. You got licensing, you got all those things. Those are all the things that you need to consider while you're thinking about starting a business. But most importantly, you want to think about your future needs. So whenever we begin a coaching session, we always, like Stephen Covey said in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, begin with the end in mind. So that's one of the first things that I'm going to want to know is, what's your exit strategy? How do you want to get out of this? Where do you want this thing to end? And legally, this right here is where you want to start with an attorney. And there are a lot of, unfortunately, oh my God, my heart goes out to all these people. We're over now 11,000 people dead from coronavirus by the time you hear this message, and there's no telling where that number is going to be. But all of those are wealth transfer moments. That's 11,000 wealth transfer moments. Somebody had something that they couldn't take with them, that it transferred over to the next person somewhere. And either it was a lot of wealth or a little bit of wealth. It just may have been some good memories, as if a child dies. I remember the moment, those few moments I will cherish forever. But still, you're transferring something over, leaving something behind. And a lot of times it's going to be a mess because you don't have a will. You didn't think about the future, and you, like, as if death wasn't going to come. So that's what you want to do. Now, I mentioned this yesterday, and this is really important for good record keeping. Even if you don't create, and actually, I suggest that you do this. Go to the office supply store, or go online and order you a set of folders, a file cabinet, literally a file cabinet. Don't keep your file, get out of the habit of keeping files in the computer. That is really bad for business. You want to have paperwork. You literally want to be able to go in and put your hand on that file. Now, if there's also a digital version of it, that's cool. But when the computers crash and the information is wiped out, you'll always be able to go back to that paper file folder and pull it up. So you want to have one folder for all your accounting and bookkeeping records. You want to have a folder for all of your bank records. Yes, go online, print out your bank statement every day, every month, if they don't send it to you by mail, but you want to stop ignoring those bank statements, just looking at the balance and throwing the statement away. Take the statement and put it in a folder. All your you got a folder for your contracts. Now you got three folders. You got this fourth folder is your corporate records. And then you have that folder for your correspondence, folder for employee records, folder for frequently used forms, the folder for marketing advertising records, permits and licenses, stock records, and tax records. All of those should be there. So now you've got the foundation for business. And what I'm going to do is I just want to show you from the traditional business model how the this business model is working out and where your business mindset should be, with keeping all the other things we've talked about in mind. Yeah, see, we haven't even sold one product yet, and that's what that I think is the mistake that so many entrepreneurs make, is that you have a product and someone says, "Wow, that's a nice necklace. You need to start a business." Doing what? Selling necklaces. Here, go online, get a Shopify site, put your necklace up and sell it. And now you're in business. No, you're not in business. You're selling stuff. That's no more than a fancy garage sale. It's you got stuff in your garage and you're putting it on your front yard and selling it. That's not a business. I don't care if you're making 6, 8, 20 different figures doing it. You're still not a business. What the business is the entity itself. It's not the activity of the entrepreneur. Rewind, say that again. The business is the entity itself. It's not the activity of the entrepreneur. Okay. So you get this brilliant idea to start your business, and now you are a business owner. You have chosen the entity. You've got it structured. You've gone through everything that I talked about earlier, and now you're ready to sell your product or your service. Um, it'll make sense. I'll go forward a little bit so that you can see why I call it the PS. But I'll say it now then, because I'll show it later. But the PS was one of 4 boxes: marketing, accounting, and customer service. And in fact, I'll change the slide around a little bit so I can show you that. But let me go forward here. Go past this so I can show you. There we go. So the PS is the fourth of 4 boxes that you need to focus on. So when you start your business, you are 80% of your focus is on the product or the service. And that's the Pareto principle, where the Pareto principle applies. It says 80% of your focus is going to be in this area, but it's only going to be 20% of the reason for your success. So, but on the reverse, that which you give only 20% of your focus is actually going to be 80% of the reason for your success. So the way that looks in the world of business, most entrepreneurs put 80% of their focus on their product or service, and only 20% of their focus is on marketing, accounting, and customer service. So that's where the PS came from the product or service. Basically, what I'm saying is, even if you did hire somebody to take care of marketing, accounting, and customer service, it's still on you to provide the energy that makes people want to buy your product or your service. You're the entrepreneur. You're the driver of this vision. So, but now with 20% of the focus being on the accounting, the product, you would see that, and what I'm saying here is that although 80% of your focus is on your product or service, and only 20% of your focus is on marketing, accounting, and customer service, your product or service accounts for only 20% of your success. Do you see that? So that's why most businesses are failing, and that's why most businesses go out of business the moment they stop selling any product, because it didn't account for much of your success from the very beginning. It didn't take much to let 20% of the, if I can remove 20, just take that out, and it's only been 20. I only have to remove 20% of the energy and 80% goes. And that's what happens. A 20% reduction in the economy caused you to lose 80% of your business. Why? Because 80% of your business only brought 20% of your success, but you made that 100%. That was 100% of your focus. Now you see you had your focus in the wrong place. So marketing, accounting, and customer service account for 80% of your success. That's the point. So if you had been focused on marketing, accounting, and customer service as much as you were focused on the operation of your business, the providing of your product or your service, then when your business was shut down, guess what all your energy would have gone over to? It would have gone over to your marketing, accounting, and customer service. For those of you who own small businesses and your restaurant is shut down, and your bar is shut down, and your laundromat is shut down, and you've been in that laundromat or that bar for 20 years, and you've had countless numbers of customers come through that bar, thousands, tens, in some bars and restaurants, tens of thousands of people have come through that restaurant. Now, COVID-19 shut down, and you go, oh my God, I don't have any customers. Yes, you do. You got 10,000 customers, but you don't know where they are because you didn't collect any information on, you weren't marketing to them. You didn't put them into your accounting system, and you certainly didn't provide them any customer service beyond here's your check. And then once you write it, once they pay that check, they're out the door and they're no longer your customer. That's the big lie. Again, we'll talk about that when we go into customer service. And so what did we say? What's the solution? The solution is to hire staff. But if you paid that staff, you could pay as, just on a small business, hiring those 3 people, marketing, accounting, and customer service, you can end up paying as much as $73,000 a year. But who has that when you're starting off, right? When you're just getting started, $6,100 a month, and I haven't made my first dime yet. So what my company has been doing for the last 20 years is we've been providing incubation. So we put you in an incubator and you lower the cost. And even if we could cut that cost by allowing you to focus on your product and service, and we take over the marketing, accounting, and customer service, and we cut it in half, what was $73,000 is now 36, or 73.5 is now 36. So we went from, 73.2, it's now 36,006. We cut it in half. That's a really good deal. I just saved you $36,000, right? But the system was designed to go even further. And that's where I was making $36,000 from my clients. And I can go back to making $36,000 if I focused on those types of clients. But my market and my heart is for those who I can serve best. And the ones that I can serve best are the small business owners that want to take that $36,000 annually and break it down to a smaller amount. So we take it in a 1-year incubator. We provide that same $36,000 worth of value. Remember what I talked about earlier in one of the first slides? I get to determine the price. So I determined that the annual price paid on a monthly basis, instead of paying $6,100 a month, I'm going to provide you marketing, accounting, and customer service for just $179. Now, you can try to go back to where your business was before the COVID-19 pandemic, and try to hire back that staff, which you're not going to be able to do that, and catch up for your lost ground. Or you can work on lowering your expenses. Now, for some businesses, there's a higher amount, but this is about the the lowest that we can start working with you and provide all of that to get you off the ground. But it's contingent upon the fact that you're going to also go through our coaching through our incubation funnels for the entire year. So when you pay for the coaching, which is a $6,000 coaching, we provide it at $1,600. You get the coaching along with the monthly. Your entire business expense coming out of this COVID lockdown is less than $4,000. Less than $4,000 is what you need to spend. So the federal government gives you $50,000 or $100,000. You're not going to take $100,000 and go spend $75,000 hiring people. That's not what the wealthy did. That's not what you should do. I'm sorry. Do not take that money and go hire people. Find out how you can operate as efficiently as you possibly can. So we're going to wrap up today's Lunch and Learn on the business side. And let's move over to that's the P, the PS and the PS factor. We're going to move over to the mindset part. And so for what we've been doing in this week is we're going to focus on the progressive mindset. And if you caught my morning commute this morning, you know that today's focus is on the slave mentality and with an angry mindset. And what I pointed out this morning was that when you're making this transition from the caveman that is fearful, we talked about that on yesterday, day one, the caveman mentality has a fearful mindset. The slave mentality has an angry mindset, meaning that if your lowest level vibration on the emotional level is fear, and the manifestation, if you will, is going to be caveman. The right next to it is its twin brother, anger, because that's the fight or flight, right? The fight or flight response, the limbic system in your brain that only operates what some call it the lizard brain or the alligator brain, but it's our most primitive part of ourselves that if it's going to do nothing, it knows how to fight or it knows how to run. And in that beginning stage, when something presses you and comes up against you suddenly through adversity, it triggers that part of your brain that bypasses everything else and it goes to fight or flight, fear or anger, caveman or slave. Okay, so let's go over this course will help you understand the significance of balancing quality relationships with an effective and efficient use of time. But it's going to also, you're going to learn how to manage that physical part of you and the spiritual resources in order to reach your goals and achieve greatness. All right, so let's go back in what we were talking about, the progressive mindset, and then developing your PS factor further. So let's go into day 2 here, reinforcing once again these particular this quote in the scripture. I want to show you how they tie together. John Rockefeller said, "You want to own nothing but control everything." The Psalm 24:1 says, "The earth is the Lord's, the fullness thereof, the world and they who dwell within it or therein." And then Genesis 1:28, "And God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, have dominion over the flesh, the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and of every living thing that moves upon earth." So what is that? Those 2 verses say exactly what John Rockefeller said. You own nothing, but control everything. The earth is the Lord's. You don't own it. It's God's. But he told you to control everything. Take dominion. You see that? Own nothing, control everything. So how did Rockefeller do it? Rockefeller created a system that enables him. It was said that he would walk around with a pocket full of dimes. And so that anybody says, "Excuse me, brother, can you spare a dime?" Yes, he had a dime. And this man was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but he never missed an opportunity to give. You're going to have thousands of opportunities to give. And as you start giving, and we'll talk about that in another one of the sections through these next 21 days, but the power of giving. But you should never give without expecting, because that's what opens up the blessings to you, that mindset of expecting. So give consistently. And the best way to do that is tithing. And I'll go specifically into tithing. I may do that tomorrow. We'll see. But prepare to leave an inheritance. I talked to you earlier about that, having an exit strategy. Invoke kingdom principles, meaning recognize that you own nothing. You're not, and technically, guys, you're not in control even, because control is a myth. It's something you think you have until the moment you lose it. But then take advantage of the wealth that comes from wicked and foolish men. That no matter, God can use anybody. So it doesn't matter who's in the White House. It doesn't matter who's at the president, who's the governor, who's the mayor. It doesn't matter who's your boss. It doesn't matter who's seemingly is in control. You know the truth. So I shared earlier, and I skipped it. In fact, I'm going to go back to that so that I can, because I'm not going to go too detailed into well, let's do that. Let's go into the PS factor so that you can just see it. What the PS factor is, it's your level of conscious awareness of your natural God-given ability to attract a successful outcome in any given situation. So just to reinforce what we talked about yesterday, it's a balance between the people that you know and the things that you do. The people that you know, the things that you do. All right. So those are balanced, and if the balance is correct, it'll show up in the quality. Surround yourself with only quality people. These 9 characteristics, I'll lay those out there. Fear God, love the truth, hate covetousness, dependable, loyal, capable, positive mental attitude, willing to go the extra mile, and faith. And then ERRI, eliminate redundancy and remove inefficiency. If you can get it under 20%, then you're able to spend more quality time with those OQP that I mentioned in the previous slide. Make time management as important as money management. Think about it. It's like you can. What's that song? Back in the 60s or 70s, this woman says, "Hey, big spender, why don't you spend some time with me?" And it's a woman hitting up on a man, the lady of the evening, the prostitute or whatever. But she was saying, "Hey, big spender, why don't you spend some of that time with me?" Yeah, well, that's what employers are saying. Why don't you spend some time with me? I need you. Hey, come over here, yo, and spend some time with me and my company. How much time you need? I need 40 hours. How much you gonna pay me? "Well, I'm gonna pay you $10. Okay. And that's basically all you're doing is you're selling your time. So that's your leisure time. But you got to separate the time that you sell, that all of it is leisure time. First of all time comes from the 24 hours that you have on your hand today. And if you take 8 of those hours and use them for sleep, you've only got 16 hours you can sell. And you take 8 of those hours and sell them for work 5 times a day. 5 days a week, that's 40 hours a week. Now you still only have 40 hours left. So when your employer comes back and says, "Can I get 10 more of those hours?" Guess what? You don't get paid time and a half because you work longer. That's what most people think. They're paying me time and a half because of my inconvenience and I'm working longer. No, that's not why. It's the law of supply and demand. When they first bought those first 40 hours from you, you had 80 hours a week on your hand. Then they come back and you only have 40 hours left. So because there's fewer hours left of your leisure to sell over to work, the price goes up. So when they buy those 10 hours at time and a half, you only have 30 hours left. So when he comes back and buys 10 more hours, and now you're go from working a 60-hour week to working a 70-hour week, do you think he's going to get you to work 70 hours a week based on what you're giving up, not for what you're doing? Stop thinking about work as what you do as far as the job market goes. Think about work as what you sold based on what you have left. So when you got nothing but time on your hands, people are buying it up from you at minimum wage. Why is the CEO making $40 million a year? Because the CEO has sold every bit of his time, and in some cases, he even sold his soul to the company. So finally, don't be afraid to delegate the authority, the accountability, and the responsibility. We'll go into that in a little bit more detail later as well. So guys, that's the Lunch and Learn session for today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, but encourage you, please go to getreadyforgreatness.com, sign on and create your free coaching profile. You can, if you want to, you can pay $49 and download the workbook that I'm going through. And then once you do that, I'll also send you, in fact, I'm going to go in and add the workbook for this workshop so that you'll be able to download the information for the lunch and learn session. So you'll have both sides, the part that we're working on the mindset shifting, but also you'll have the information on the business startup. So I'll post both of those and have those available. Only $49. You're not obligated to continue. What will happen is if you do decide to continue, even as you move along the incubator and only pay as you go, then the part that you've already paid will apply over to the next part if you do it within the time guidelines. So you pay $49. If you can cancel in 30 days and you will not have paid anything more. But if you activate within 30 days, the $49 that you've already paid transfers over. And basically you can pay as you go. So you don't have to pay for $6,000 or $16,000 system up front. You can move along the way. And I believe that that's where a lot of people are going to be doing it. You're going to discover that you have this entrepreneurial desire. You didn't know you had it before. You didn't know you had the entrepreneurial gift. But because you suddenly found yourself without a job and then you started a business, all of a sudden now you figure it out. You have the gift of entrepreneurship. Guys, I've been at it for about an hour. I want to make certain that I take up no more than an hour because we want to do this for as lunch. But join me tomorrow at noon for the next section of in the Get Ready for Greatness Lunch and Learn workshop. Remember, be sure to go on to getreadyforgreatness.com, create your free coaching profile, log on to richardcuff.com, and I believe that'll take you back over to it. I'll have it. It should take you back to the podcast. If it doesn't, do whatever you're supposed to do there. I got to go check and see what that's doing. But also go to the Facebook page, Get Ready for Greatness. Go to Facebook and get over to the Get Ready for Greatness page. Like the page, sign up for the alerts, because I'm going to be posting all of my videos there as well. So you'll not only will you be able to get the lunch and learns that I do here, but I'm also posting my personal videos, and you'll get a chance to see every episode of my morning commute. And the morning commute is it's just me having some fun. And but you'll see the information that I share in the morning commute. It ties it in. And then ultimately go to thepsfactor.com, thepsfactor.com, and that'll take you back to the podcast, the PS Factor, and there you'll be able to support the PS Factor. And by the time you do that, I'll get information. Shoot me an email, because then it says you're really serious about this, because you can pay $49 for the coaching and $4.99 a month supporting the podcast. And I'm going to coach you every step along the way. Can you imagine telling someone I began by paying $49 and I never thought I would be making $49,000 a week, but look at me. Yes, it's actually possible. We're going to help you get there, and I'm going to show you how to do it. But it begins with you first understanding yourself. You have to know you. So know yourself, and then you're going to know your world. And then you're going to know what it is that you are supposed to do out. What is your great idea? What is that vision that you're supposed to take out into the world? You do those three things, this is going to be awesome for you. So, guys, I want to continue to encourage you. Please abide by the social distancing. Wear face coverings when you're out in public. And also, don't go out if it's not necessary. We probably got to do this for another 4 or 5 weeks. We're beginning to see some good news with the numbers curving down. But people are dying. We're over 11,000 deaths because of the coronavirus. I'm speaking especially to African Americans right now, and it's most specifically those that are living in the apartment complexes, in the projects, it's hard for you to social distance because your neighbor is right next door to you. They're less than 6 feet away from you, and your only other choice is to hunker down inside your apartment. And chances are there's at least 4 or 5 of you in the apartment complex. A husband and wife with 3 kids, there's 5 of you right there. So there's not much social distancing there. So it's going to be difficult for us to contain this thing in the poorest areas of our city. But this coronavirus didn't start in the poor areas. So that's why I'm encouraged. It did not come from the poor areas. It came from those that had the means to travel, to go country to country. You had to be rich to do that. But now it's finding its way to the poor people. And so it's important now that you really be sure to not bring the virus into your community. This is not something that's coming out of your community. This is something that's being brought into your community. And believe me, poverty is exactly the same way. Poverty did not come out of you, poverty was brought into you. So I'm just going to say that and end the broadcast with those words of encouragement. I want you, please, to join me tomorrow. Do share the video, like all the pages, do all the things, hit the bells, do all that stuff that you're supposed to do. And let's talk again tomorrow. Till then, take care.